Welcome to the light. I wanted to provide an update on a case that was previously covered where it involved Jameson Kyle Boley out of Alabama. Now, he was seen before a Walker County judge who did find probable cause just a couple weeks ago, and the judge has bound the case over for a grand jury. Now, before I get into the details of what occurred then, a quick refresher on who Jameson Boley is if you have not heard of him. Jameson Boley is the father of Jonathan Boley, who was affectionately known as John, who was unfortunately found deceased after a multi-day search for the missing 4-year-old child in Alabama. This occurred just after this past Christmas, and his father was charged with chemical endangerment and manufacturing an explosive device, which had nothing to do with the actual disappearance of John, but the alleged offenses did hinder the search for the child, because before they could completely dive into everything, the sheriff's office had to stop and make sure to get rid of the explosive materials that were found in and around the home of the father of the missing child. Now, in this case, Boley's 2 sons had been visiting him from Florida, where Jameson only had custody of his 2 sons 5 days out of the entire year, which says a lot in and of itself. Now, if you're looking for more information and details on that case of when it was covered just after this past Christmas, it'll be under Jameson Boley or Jonathan Boley in my account. So back to the case that I'm covering at hand today. Jameson had these charges based not on the disappearance of John, but due to these explosive materials in and around his home, due to drugs being found, etc. So he was finally being seen before a preliminary hearing, and there were details that were being heard about what law enforcement found when they first responded to Jameson's home. The sergeant stated that when he first arrived to Jameson's home on New Year's Eve, it was John's brother who told him that the 2 of them had been playing near a fence near the woods when the 4-year-old went through a hole in the fence, chasing the family dog Buck into the woods. Now, according to the sergeant, state police had to clear the home because an, quote, extremely explosive substance was found inside, as well as a device resembling a pipe bomb. This forced a pause on the search for the boy while the technicians required for this specialty worked to clear the scene. Now, the sergeant also said that sulfur and sulfuric acid were found inside of Jameson's home by investigators. The sergeant himself, during a search warrant, said that he observed a white powder spread across the dresser of the master bedroom of the home, and the powder was later determined to be methamphetamine after testing. There were also multiple firearms inside that same bedroom, including a SCAR 7.62 caliber rifle with a homemade suppressive device and a loaded pistol. The sergeant says all of this would have been within the children's reach, and none of them had safety locks. The improvised explosive devices, which are IEDs, included at least 1 smoke bomb, were also found inside of the home. Now, the sergeant says that some items that, again, were believed to be the IEDs were taken away during that search warrant and later detonated by law enforcement, which I showed on video previously. The sergeant says that based on interviews with family inside of the home, the boys were sleeping in a room that was observed by the sergeant and their office, but it only had a blanket inside and no bed. During this preliminary hearing, an Alabama State Bureau of Investigation agent testified that investigators located approximately 2 to 2.5 pounds of explosive materials, referring to during testimony as ETM, in about 5 locations throughout the residence. The agent also testified that 2 homemade smoke bombs were found in a closet along with nitric acid and nitrates inside the home. According to the agent's testimony, 2.5 pounds of the explosive materials could be powerful enough to destroy a vehicle or cause serious injury or death to somebody nearby. Jameson is currently charged with chemical endangerment of a child and unlawful manufacture of a destructive device, and his bonds were originally set at a combined $400,000 cash, which had kept him in jail since he was arrested back in the beginning of January. Now, with Jameson's charges, he previously was facing a total $400,000 cash bond, which the defense wanted to argue for a reduction. Naturally, the prosecution wanted to not reduce it and maintain the fact that Jameson is a threat to his community. After they had their arguments, the judge decided to reduce Jameson's bond on the chemical endangerment charge to a $30,000 property bond. The judge denied the motion to reduce bond on the unlawful manufacture of a destructive device charge, leaving that bond set at $300,000 cash. So reduced, technically yes. Reduced enough for him to get out on bond? Still no. So since the judge found probable cause in this case, it proceeds on to the next step, and it goes over to the Walker County grand jury. So I will let you know what comes up next in this case as we follow it along. But as of right now, Jameson will stay behind bars in the Walker County system. The saddest part out of all of this, again, is that Jameson had his children for 5 days out of the entire year. 5 days. And to see things like these small details come out where we find that the boys were just left in a bedroom with only a blanket, and that these weapons, which had no safety even on them at all, and that the drugs were available, everything, all these dangerous things within reach of them, the fact that there were IEDs around the property and in the home, is such a dangerous situation. I can't help, if I was the mother in this case, feeling that there is negligence. For 5 days, he had his 2 boys and could not take care of them, could not properly provide for them for a couple days. I don't understand how you get 5 days out of any of them. It sounds like even those few days allotted by the court for visitation should have been supervised until maybe they got up to another point in their journey. Just to be very, very clear though, according to John John's autopsy, there was no trauma or assault type injuries, and it appears that he passed due to hypothermia. They were, of course, going to be conducting toxicology, which can take quite a while to come back. So I'm not sure if there's an update on that end. I will be checking into that. But I just want to be clear that there is legally no fault put onto Jameson for John John's disappearance or for his death. And when it comes to Jameson's current case as well, he is innocent until proven guilty in a court of law. Just wanted to make sure that I said that. Thank you so much for tuning into The Light. Stay safe, be kind to one another, and as always, I will see you all in the next one. Please make sure that you are following me for more updates on this case and many others that I cover. And if you can, hit a little tap on that heart button to help my channel out. I greatly appreciate it.